Despite how beautiful a fully modded version can look like, Pro Evolution Soccer's claim to fame has always been its realistic depiction of the beautiful game and the way real-life tactics can translate to goal-scoring opportunities. You might think that a 4-2-4 formation will compromise your midfield, with only 2 players in the center, but watch how my 2 attacking fullbacks join the attack, and with Firmino dropping deep as a false number 9, you actually have 5 players in midfield, and with that many players up front, you're spoiled for passing options. You have Salah running towards the center, Mane's making a break on the far side, while Diego makes a compelling run inwards. So let's watch how this play unfolds. This kind of real-life tactical player movement is exactly why I love PES. In my last video, I discussed how beautiful this game can look when fully modded with realistic visuals to match the realistic gameplay and ball physics it offers. But if you're a FIFA player, you're probably wondering why goals look so much more realistic when they happen in PES. I mean, yes, there's the mesmerizing ball physics as you manually move it around the pitch. But in my opinion, it's all about the realistic off-ball player movements, with attackers opening space for their teammates by tagging defenders along the run. In this play, Firmino drops deep as a false number 9 to link up with the 3 players up front. Diego Jota makes a run that tags along one defender, creating space for Mane to burst into. Salah does a similar run, and Mane runs into the space behind him to finish it off. In this video, I'll be talking about Klopp's unplanned but incredibly successful 4-2-4 variation, which saw Liverpool soar to the top of the table by late October last year, and stay there for most of the following 2 months before the team crumbled with injuries. This formation was unplanned because Diego Jota was brought into Liverpool as a backup for the front 3, but his form was too impressive that Klopp came up with a formation that made room for him as a 4th striker alongside Liverpool's front 3, with Firmino dropping back as a false number 9. Just like the real Liverpool, this formation will give you the ability to launch lethal counterattacks in the blink of an eye, especially if you use manual passing to make the best use of both the space available as well as your striker's speed as they burst into that space. It also makes it possible to play possession-style football in the same match and the same set of tactics with the help of a few advanced instructions we'll be discussing in this video. And let me tell you this, having 4 players up front has completely overhauled my attack, making it a lot easier to quickly overwhelm any defense, especially with your players constantly moving behind each other. PES players will notice that in the past 2 or 3 years, the midfield has been experiencing a dwindling role in the game, as they were often too far from the front line that I almost found myself preferring to bypass them entirely whenever I got the ball. I started feeling that the midfield was simply useless in PES. And when I moved to full manual controls last summer, I found myself preferring to make long forward passes into space versus short ping-pong passes to the feet of my players in a stacked midfield, which works better with assisted passing. But with manual passing, you can place the ball anywhere you want. In this play, Diego is running to the center, but Fabinho manually places the ball into the space right there, sending him there to finish it off with a manually placed shot. In this play, I'm not particularly happy with my passing options here, but manual controls allow me to easily shift play into a space on the other side, which brings me to the first advanced instruction, attacking fullbacks. An attacking fullback will rush forward to support your defense, then rush back the second you lose possession, and back in when you regain the ball. Look at how Salah is supported by Trent, an attacking fullback, deep into the opposition's half. And even with tight marking and very little room to maneuver, attacking fullbacks will usually slip in unmarked by the opposition. For this formation, selecting a central zone attack works much better with that many players up front. This works great because attacking fullbacks thrive on space to burst into. A central attack instruction gives them more space on the flank while still being able to attack down the center. With 4 players up front and a central zone attack instruction, you no longer need to select centering targets to cross into players in the box. And with full manual controls, you can cross into the box from anywhere on the pitch. But we still haven't solved the problem of the front line being detached from the rest of the team when transitioning into attack. But watch how Firmino drops back to collect the ball before pulling off a manual pass to send Mane behind the defense. This brings me to the second and most important advanced instruction, the false number 9, a role Firmino is perfectly suited for. A false number 9 will drop deep in the center to provide excellent link-up play to your front three. It's a tactic that also works great with attacking fullbacks sprinting along the sideline. She'll also link up with your midfielder when you use an L2 pass to make him rush against defenders busy marking your strikers. An L2 pass is a great trick to bring even more players into the final third, as Thiago bursts forward to provide Mane with a passing option. With 4 players up front including a false number 9, you'll have less defenders to deal with, as Mane and Jota are keeping 2 defenders busy marking them. And without even touching the ball, look at how a false number 9 attracts a defender next to him, making it possible for one of the other strikers to burst into the space left behind. So yeah, he's a great option, but you don't always have to go through him to get to your strikers. I honestly don't see the point of having more than 2 midfielders, especially when you grow more confident in your manual passing skills to get directly to your strikers. I'd spread these 2 midfielders apart, since the false number 9 drops so deep that he can have a role in defense, before quickly transitioning back to his offensive role, including goal scoring, which is always a treat with full manual shooting. As a matter of fact, if you properly plan your dribble around the smart movement of your striker who tags the last defender along his run, you can get the job done with only your false number 9. When using the frontline pressure defense instruction, a false number 9 will provide more depth behind your strikers, making it easier to retrieve the ball. Most of the time, you will be pressing with 1 striker for every opposition player in the back, making it a lot easier to punish their mistakes. It's a lot less frustrating when you're pressing with 4 players, waiting for this one mistake to happen, where the numerical advantage translates into goals. And with 4 players up front, having more bodies in the penalty box translates into a higher chance of picking up a stray ball from a defender or a rebound from a keeper. Picking up stray headers, also known as the second ball, is another advantage of having that many players up front. But looking at these players rushing forward, you might be fooled into thinking I'm using a counter-attack style. This formation actually uses a possession style, which is very important towards securing enough passing options in the final third. And with 4 players up front, you don't even need to select a counter-attack style. This kind of numerical advantage would be a nightmare to defend against. In this example, Burnley is 1 goal behind on an all-out attack in the last 10 minutes of an FA Cup knockout fixture. But look what happens when Salah picks up the ball and starts moving. It's already 4 against 3. Firmino's dummy run deals with 1 defender, and Diego makes the actual run I'm waiting for. I feel that I've wasted too many years playing with a counter-attacking style, which I would have never really needed if I had that many players up front, especially if they're fast enough to beat most defenders. Watch this counter-attack unfold all the way from the back. Alisson finds Salah, while Diego Jota runs to the side to provide a passing option while occupying a defender. Now you might think that Firmino is a good option to pass to right now, but with a little patience, you can set him up directly with a goalkeeper. To enhance your counterattack without selecting counterattack, I recommend going for a long pass instruction. This will significantly enhance your transition and make the best out of the numbers you'll be able to provide in the box. A long pass will also make it easier to directly reach your strikers after regaining possession, and maybe show off your manual shooting skills. And of course, Manual controls will provide you with long passing options you'd never have with assisted controls for enhanced penetration of defense. As you can see, this formation requires you to keep an eye on your radar to spot empty spaces you can manually pass into, and the realistic broadcast camera makes it easier to spot player runs behind the defense. I also prefer to maximize my support range, which spreads out your players and works great with long manual passes into space. And having your players spread out on the pitch provides you with more options along the flanks, especially with fast strikers capable of outrunning defenders for a lethal counterattack. So yeah, even with the central attack zone selected, you still have the option to launch attacks from both flanks using this combination of tactics and formation. Finally, I use flexible positioning in attack, which makes for a more fluid offense. In this example, Robbo and Mane essentially exchange their spots, so now you have a player in that space on the side. And in this example, Jota drops to collect a pass, and that makes Firmino rush behind him to fill in the gap, which eventually keeps the attack alive. A similar effect achieved on the defensive side by giving one of your two midfielders a defensive role. It's more obvious in the replay, where you can see Henderson drop back to cover for Trent, who pushes forward to support the attack. In this play, I make the dangerous mistake of using Van Dijk as a second player to pressure the opponent. This leaves me wide open in the back, but if we rewind, you'll notice my defensive midfielder Fabinho tracking back to fill the gap, which would have left three players completely unmarked. Pressing with two players in the back is usually a very costly mistake to make. And when you do it, you better not fix your mistake by leaving another player unmarked. And as you're pressing the opposition with one player at a time, you won't develop too many gaps in your defense, and should be in good shape on that front. Speaking of which, you really can't afford to leave players unmarked in this formation. Man marking and defender positioning has been a very weak point in this year's game. Like, I don't know exactly what Gomez is doing running to the side. He's a centre back, not an attacking fullback. It's an issue that plagues the AI defenders too. Like, I don't know why Mane's mark decided to leave him and rush back to the box. The best way to address this problem is to dedicate one of your advanced defensive instructions to use tight marking while selecting the opposition's front man. Tight marking is dynamic, which means that whichever defender is closer to this player will be in charge of marking him. In this example, Aubameyang loses Van Dijk, but is immediately picked up by Matip, who deals with the incoming ball. So that's my 4-2-4 formation. As always, there's a bonus clip after the credits. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. If you liked the realistic visual mods you've seen in this video, check out the video linked here, which includes links to every mod I've been using, such as those awesome video ad boards by Predator on EvoWeb's forum. Thanks for your support, and I'll see you in the next one.